Postmodernity is a movement in the arts that established traditional conventions concerning the representation of reality. It remixes the idea of representations and makes light of them, and The Simpsons is a case study that I'm using. The Simpsons is an American sitcom created by Matt Groening for the Fox Broadcasting Company. It's a satirical parody of a middle-class American lifestyle epitomised by a dysfunctional family, which is Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa and Maggie. A few postmodern traits about the show in general is firstly that it's narrative. It's got a non-linear narrative creating confusions over the time and space, which is typical of comedy shows like Family Guy, for example, and a very typical postmodern trait. It will say things like, "Oh, don't worry, it'll be alright by the next episode," which is it's like acting as if the characters are almost aware that they're in a show. Secondly, there's simulacra and stimulation, which is where they use the cartoon Itchy and Scratchy, which the two children, Bart and Lisa, watch, as a stimulation of the real world of Springfield. And it's also a hyperreality inside a hyperreality, which is quite ironic, and it uses non-consequential violence like Tom and Jerry. Then you have stagnity. The show is localised in another region, like no other region rather than America, and there's no other periods than the postmodern era. There's no sign of progress in like the children within the school. For example, Maggie's always like sucking her dummy, and the audience never witness her growing as a person, so like learning to talk, for example. And every character image like remains stagnant. About this particular episode, it's called Girls Want to Have Sons, and Harvard Principal Skinner is fired for offending feminists by suggesting differences in performances in maths or science may be due to innate differences between men and women. He's replaced by women's educational expert Melanie, who demands that males and females in Harvard are separated immediately. So there's quite a lot of like postmodern things about this episode. Firstly, that it makes light of political issues. So, for example, Principal Skinner stands on stage and states, "What is the source of this illusion, or as I call it, the biggest lie ever told?" And he speaks to all the feminists with an instant display of lack of seriousness and irony within the clip, which makes it's like mocking basically quite a serious topic, which is feminism, which is quite a postmodern trait. So it's intertextual because a woman in a pink blazer stands up and shouts, "You're a worse version than Hitler," pointing her hand out at Skinner as if she's mimicking Hitler, which is a serious part of history being mocked basically, which is ironic and nostalgic, almost like a parody, and it's like intertextual referencing to Hitler. And also another postmodern trait is stereotypes and ideology. Skinner sarcastically states, "Please believe me, I understand the problems of women," as he laughs and stands to the sides in a pink floral dress. It represents a stereotype of females, like reinforcing a feminist topic and conforming to traditional female ideology. Also, a child shouts, "Haha, Skinner's a tranny," which could be quite a like sensitive topic for some people. And it's like new subjects are being mentioned, which might be quite sensitive to talk about. So the programme basically pushes boundaries. And lastly, it's quite pastiche because previous scenery was quite like traditional and sensible in the school's assembly hall, which then like transformed to a very feminine classroom with like chairs and soft lighting. So this sort of portrays the merging of different looks. In conclusion, we can say that overall The Simpsons has a general liberal attitude to matters like sexuality and feminism, which can be taken quite seriously, and it's very ironic and mocking.